everyone, good morning. Welcome to Zomeo Classroom. I am Dr. Tarana Malik and today I am going to be discussing a very interesting group from homeopathic Materia Medica. It is the spider group. Now we all know some remedies that are very frequently known from this group, but today we are going to have a look at this group in general, its manifestations in terms of physical symptoms as well as mental symptoms, and we will also be comparing the common characteristics which run across all the remedies in this group, so that next time when we have a case which requires a remedy from the spider group, we will not only think of those one or two common remedies but can also think of other remedies belonging to this group. So let us begin. Now, spiders belong to the largest and the most widely distributed order of class of animals that are called as Arachnida. This class also includes other insects like scorpions, harvestmen, which are commonly known as daddy long legs, false scorpions, mites, and ticks. All of these are also a part of our homeopathic Materia Medica. But amongst them, today we will only be taking spiders. Now there are about 22,000 different type of species of spiders, and when it comes to the body morphology, the largest spider measures around 3.5 inches, and at the same time the smallest spider to have been found measures approximately less than a 25th of an inch long. So you can imagine, one side we have a spider which is almost 3.5 inches big, and then on the other end we have a spider which is so tiny which probably can be difficult to see from the naked eye. So now you can imagine there'll be so many different varieties, so much difference between their body morphology. But let us not go into the details of their morphology. Let us have a look at the general classification of spiders through which we can decide or we can differentiate the remedies that belong to our homeopathic Materia Medica. Now, depending on the body structures of the class Arachnida, there are two types of spiders that are present. Aranomorphae or dineumonts, which have one pair of lungs, and Mygelomorphae or tetraneumonts with two pairs of lungs. So let us have a look at what are the characteristics of these two subgroups. In spiders that belong to the Aranomorphae group, they particularly spin cobwebs in the air. Okay, and while the spiders which belong to the class Mygelomorphae, they are found to be living in tunnels and tubular holes in the ground. So this is one major difference between these two groups. Now in Aranomorphae, the poison glands and ducts are elongated and the claws move horizontally like pin. While in Mygelomorphae, there are short glands and ducts and their fangs move vertically. So one of the remedies belonging to Aranomorphae is again a very common one in our homeopathic Materia Medica, which is Tarantula hispanica, and the one belonging to Mygelomorphae is Tarantula cubensis mygale. Okay, so this is just a general differentiation between the two types of spiders. Now let us move on and correlate this with doctrine of signature that is found across the homeopathic remedies belonging to this group. Now a spider attacks suddenly and disappears before the victim can react. This explains the sudden appearance and disappearance of symptoms, as well as the sudden onset of symptoms. Spiders also stay in burrows and holes and avoid places that have a lot of light. We can correlate this to aversion to society. That is a very marked mental symptom present across the spider group. So, a spider which does not like to come out in the open lives in tunnels or burrows. Similarly, a person belonging to the spider group of remedies, or a person who requires a remedy from the spider group, will also have a marked aversion to any social interaction or the society. Now, here are the most important remedies which belong to this group. So, we have Arania diadema, we have Arania ixolobo, we have Arania sinacea, we have Aranium tella, we have Latrodectus hasselti, we have Latrodectus calipo, and Latrodectus mectans. We also have mygale, two types of tarantula, which is Tarantula cubensis and Tarantula hispania. And lastly, we have Theridion. So, out of these, we have read about, more about rather, Tarantula, Theridion, Arania diadema. So, let us have a look at the common symptoms or the general symptoms running across these group of remedies, so that we can gain a better understanding of this group. Now, there is a way through which we can have a look at all the symptoms belonging to this group using hompathsomeo. To read about group symptoms in Zomeo, all you have to do is click on the remedy module, and then you will find something called as group symptoms present in the drop down which opens. We click on group symptoms, and now we can see we have about 20 groups listed on our left hand side and their manifestations listed on our right hand side. We wish to read about spiders or Arachnidae. So let us just type spiders or Arachnida. Either ways, you can see that we get the same result. So let us have a look at, we just discussed the remedies belonging to this group. When we drag down, we have the physical manifestations. You can increase the font size by dragging this pointer on top of your screen towards your right to improve the visibility. Now, as you can see, below the list of remedies, there are physical symptoms of spider group listed. Let us have a look at some of the important symptoms. So, all the spiders have a marked action on blood or give a picture of blood poisoning and septicemia. So, these remedies are deep acting remedies that lead to a lot of degenerative changes in the blood and give a picture of blood poisoning or septicemia. Thus, these remedies can be useful in cases of septic fevers. Moving on, all the spider remedies have a very marked action on the central nervous system. Next, we have instability, which is one of the most outstanding features, where we have instability of action, purpose, wisdom, etc. Now, amongst the general physical symptoms, there is also a very marked periodicity that is present across all the spider remedies. As we scroll down, we can also see some characteristic mental symptoms listed. Before we move ahead, now whatever we've read through these general characteristics, let us compare a few remedies belonging to the spider group. We can do this by using something called as the remedy extract feature. Now this feature enables us to extract all the rubrics of either a single remedy or a group of remedies in relation to a certain chapter or even a certain repertory. This way, we can have a better understanding of the rubrics that these remedies cover, and we may also find some rubrics or some symptoms that may not be commonly listed in Materia Medica textbooks. So let us compare Tarantula cubensis, Theridion, Lactrodectus mectans and Arania diadema. Now we will be going through the common physical general symptoms that are present across these remedies. So to extract the remedies, we will click on the remedy module again, and this time we will click on the remedy extract feature. Now as we click on it, we see a column of remedy extract which opens on our left. Here we have the add remedy option, which is where we are going to add the remedy or the remedies that we wish to study. So as I click on it, there's a pop-up which shows up on the screen. Here there's a list of remedies present. You can either scroll down or type the remedy or the first few alphabets related to the remedy, and the desired remedy will be present in our search results. So the first remedy that I want to add is Tarantula, for which I will type Tarantula. And now I want to compare Tarantula cubensis. So in these search results, the second option, which is Tarant C, is the one that I wish to add. I will click on select and then click on add. Now you can see that Tarantula has been added to the selection. Moving on, if I want to add another remedy, I will again click on the add remedy tab, and now I will type my second remedy, which is Theridion. And you can see the last option is the abbreviation for Theridion. I will select it and again click on add. Similarly, I am now going to add Lactrodectus mectans and Arania diadema. So you can see we want Lactrodectus mectans. The abbreviation for it is LAT-M. I will select it and I will add it to my add remedy section. The last remedy I want is Arania. The first search result is the one that I want to include. I will click on it and finally click on add. So now you can see in the add remedy tab, I have 4 remedies, which is Tarantula cubensis, Theridion, Lactrodectus mectans and Arania diadema. Now coming to the repertories or the chapter of repertory, I want to go through the general symptoms or the generalities of these 4 remedies. So I will particularly select the generalities chapter, and we will do it from the complete repertory as it has a lot of rubrics present as compared to other specific repertories. After I am done selecting the generalities option, I will click on done, and now you can see it is already been selected and reflecting in the add repertories section. Moving on, you can also include a particular keyword or a symptom that you wish to read about. So right now we are going to go through the generalities of these remedies. But for example, if at some point I wish to read about, say, the thirst in all the remedies or the periodicity in the remedies, I can include this word in the include symptom keyword section. So now coming down to symptom grouping options, I want to include all the remedies with all the drug marks as well as the rubrics belonging to all levels. In case you wish to read about only remedies that are 3 marks or 4 marks, you can select it by clicking on the number, and you can do it similarly with the rubric levels. But as I said, let us have a look at them in general. So we are not going to change the setting. After we've done adding all the subheadings, let us now click on extract. Now you can see there are 108 rubrics that have been extracted, which are common between Tarantula, Theridion, Latrodectus mectans and Arania diadema. So here different colors indicate the different levels of the rubrics. These numbers listed under the remedies are the remedy marks or the remedy intensity. The last column is the total number of remedies listed under this rubric, and out of them we have the 4 remedies that we have selected to compare. Now you can see the first few rubrics have a very large number of remedies present, but as we scroll down we will see some rubrics that have less remedies or that have only the remedies belonging to this group. So first let us scroll down and have a look at what the rubrics belonging to these 4 remedies indicate. So we have left-sidedness of these remedies. These remedies also cover one-sided symptoms, in which we have Tarantula as 4 marks and Arania diadema as 4 marks. Now Tarantula also covers the right side of the body as well as Theridion. So now you can see we can according to the marks of the remedy, we can compare the intensity of the symptom. So suppose if I want to differentiate amongst these remedies only, we can use the remedy gradation option to differentiate and decide which symptom is more well represented in these 4 remedies. Now moving down, as we just discussed, there is periodicity. We have affection of the bones, glands, liver, joints, mucous membranes. So these are basically the general rubrics that you can see here. And one thing you have to keep in mind, now as spider remedies are commonly deep acting remedies which lead to a lot of degenerative changes, every manifestation is going to be of the same sort. So suppose if we are talking about nerves, or if we are talking about abscesses, or we are talking about involvement of liver, gland, spleen, so we will see a lot of degenerative changes in these organs too. Moving down, we have some modalities like aggravation eating after, or exercise exertion aggravates. We have symptoms related to inflammation that we were just talking about. We have symptoms related to pain. Now, spider remedies, since they act on the central nervous system and cause a lot of irritation of the nerves, the patient will have symptoms related to pain. And thus, you can think of spider group of remedies in cases with severe pain which comes on suddenly, disappears suddenly, and the patient goes crazy with the pain. Like the intensity is so marked that the patient screams or cries with the pain. As I just said, this is because of the involvement of nerves or irritation of the nerves. So in this way, you can scroll down and go through all these rubrics one by one and compare and differentiate these gradation of remedies. So this is one way of looking at group symptoms or comparing the remedies. Now let us have a look at some very peculiar or PQRS symptoms that are seen in the physical general sphere of these remedies. There is marked action on the blood as we just discussed, and amongst these remedies we have Tarantula cubensis and Tarantula hispania, both which cover these septic states. Now the spider remedies have a marked action on central nervous system, right? So what will these cause? They cause symptoms like anxiety, trembling, twitching. The patient is very restless. He cannot sit at one place. You can see the patient will be constantly changing places. While talking to you, the patient may not sit still. He will move. And when the patient is in bed lying down, he may change his sides often. There is increased sensitiveness. And because of the central nervous system involvement, there will be a lot of chorea and involuntary movement of muscles. Next, we have a lot of weakness and prostration that comes from sexual excess. So there is a lot of lasciviousness that is seen across all these remedies, but at the same time the patient also gets aggravated with coition. Okay, so there is increased sexual desire, the patient is lascivious, he may get lascivious thoughts, but sexual intercourse or coition will also aggravate the patient. There is a deep destruction of the tissues of skin, which manifests in the form of carbuncles, gangrene, and actinomycosis. Now, as we know, we have a lot of remedies that we know of that can be used in cases of carbuncles. But let us have a look at the remedies belonging to the spider group and their representation under carbuncles. So we can do this by searching the rubric carbuncles within the repertory using Zomeo, and we will find out all the remedies that have carbuncles as an indication, and we will get to know how well are the spider remedies represented. Now to search the rubrics carbuncles, we have to press Command S and a general search tab opens. Now using the search repertory option, we will type in the keyword that we desire to search, which is carbuncles, and the repertory will reflect all the results through all the repertories which contain the word carbuncles in them. So let us see. We will type carbuncles, and you can either type the entire word or select the word from the word option that appears below. We will click on carbuncles and now click on search. You can see we have a lot of rubrics through different repertories where we have either carbuncles as the indication or carbuncles present at specific regions of the body. So let us have a look at the general rubric, which is from the complete repertory, which is from the skin chapter. It is eruptions, carbuncles. Now to view the remedies present under this rubric, I will click on the rubric. Now you can see there are 115 remedies present under this rubric. We have to look at the spider remedies present under this rubric. So let us find the remedies belonging to this group. So yeah, we can see Tarantula, both Tarantula hispania as well as cubensis and Theridion, which are well marked and present under these rubrics. So when it comes to carbuncles, you can think of Tarantula hispania, Tarantula cubensis and Theridion from this group. Moving on, we have marked periodicity present in these remedies. For example, the symptoms may return annually, the symptoms can return every hour, and we also see that in certain remedies, the symptom return every 21 days. So again, let us find out this rubric from the repertory and find out how well are the spider remedies or which remedies are represented under each of these symptoms. Now to search the first option, which is symptoms return annually, we will again click on Command S, and here we will type periodic or periodical, and the next keyword that we wish to include is annually. After we are done typing, we will click on select, and now you can see there is only one rubric which covers the keywords that we've entered, and it has only 46 remedies, which means that not a lot of remedies have this symptom present, which is quite interesting. So let us see by clicking on the rubrics where can we find the spider remedies. So here we have Arania diadema, we have Tarantula again, we have Latrodectus mectans which is present. So when we think of symptoms that return annually, we can think of Arania diadema, we can think of Tarantula and Latrodectus mectans. Now I hope you are noting down these remedies or these characteristic symptoms, because these will help you in memorizing and better understanding of the spider group of remedies. Moving on, let us have a look at periodical hourly return of symptoms. We will again click on Command S and type periodical, daily, hour, at, okay, and click on search. So you can see the first rubric in the search result is the one that we wish to look at, which is periodical, daily, hour, at, the same. This rubric has 71 remedies. Let us have a look at how well these remedies are represented. So we have Arania diadema, which is well marked under this rubric. We have Tarantula again. So now you can see under the annual return of symptoms as well, we had Arania and Tarantula, but we also had Latrodectus mectans. But now coming to hourly return of symptoms, we only have Arania diadema and Tarantula cubensis from this group of remedies. So now similarly, we can also search for remedies that are listed in every 21 days by searching the rubric in the repertory. Moving on, let us have a look at the desires and aversion present in the group of remedies. So we have very interesting ones like desire for alcoholic drinks, which is marked in Theridion. We have desire for ashes, which is marked in Tarantula hispania. We have desire for bananas, which is a very well known and a peculiar symptom present in Theridion. Desire for cold drinks is Tarantula hispania. Desire for seasoned foods is again Tarantula hispania. Desire for raw food is again the same remedy. And tobacco is also present in Theridion. So if you see, Theridion has desire for alcoholic drinks, desire for bananas, and desire for tobacco, which are very specific and particular. Now, moving on to aversions, Tarantula has aversion to bread, a very strong aversion to meat, and also aversion to chocolate. In aversion to meat, we also have Theridion as one of the remedies listed. So in aversions, we have aversion to bread, where Tarantula is one of the indicated remedies. We have aversion to meat, where Tarantula is very well marked. We also have Theridion, and in aversion to chocolate, we again have Tarantula. So now moving on, let us have a look at the modalities. In general, the spider remedies are aggravated by bright objects, by touch, noise, and light. Now, this is just a reflection of their increased sensitivity that we discussed earlier while discussing the physical general symptoms. We also discussed aggravation to poison, and the patient also has aggravation after or during menses. So these are the characteristic aggravating modalities. Let us have a look at amelioration. We have amelioration music, which is a very interesting symptom. So the patient is better by rubbing the affected part or massaging the affected part. So during pains, the patient might tell us that whenever I have pain, I feel better by massaging or rubbing the affected part, and the pain comes back as soon as I stop doing that. In such situations, we can think of a remedy belonging to the spider group. Next, we again have a very interesting amelioration, which is better by smoking. So now we have two very different or rare ameliorating modalities, which is amelioration by music and smoking. Let us have a look at each of them and find out how well are the spider remedies represented under this symptom. Now again, to search this rubric, I will press Command S in Zomeo, and first let us have a look at music ameliorates. After I am done typing these keywords, I will click on search, and the first rubric from the generalities chapter we will select and we will read. So amongst the remedies listed under music ameliorates, we have tarantula, which is very well marked in this rubric. In fact, one of the highest indicated remedies, we have tarantula, and we also have the presence of latrodectus hasseltii as a one mark remedy over here. Now moving on, let us have a look at our next rubric, which is smoking ameliorates. Now again, to search this, I will press Command O and type smoking ameliorates and click on search. So when we click on smoking ameliorates, we have Arania diadema as 2 marks, and we also have tarantula as 2 marks. So you can see tarantula was present under both music ameliorates as well as smoking ameliorates. Now moving on, let us have a look at the characteristic mental symptoms present in this group. The people belonging to the spider group of remedies are very selfish, very cunning, and they also may be quarrelsome. Now, sometimes the patient may not directly tell you that I'm selfish or I'm very cunning. So, during case taking, we have to pick on certain cues or hints that the patient throws on us and figure that if the patient fits into one of these rubrics. Moving on, there is a lot of contrariness which is present in these remedies. There is contrariness within himself as well as to outer circumstances, which means the patient does not even agree with himself as well as to other around. So this is just another way of figuring this trait in the spider remedies. The patient belonging to spider group is very obstructive and is also very interfering. They will unnecessarily interfere with others in their work and obstruct them or cause them trouble. They also have aversion to bright light, objects, etc., which is again a mental manifestation of their increased sensitivity. Contradiction aggravates these patients, and sometimes contradiction can also become a characteristic causation in this case. So the patient might have faced a certain strong opposition or contradiction and then may fall sick and come to us. So while investigating a case where we feel that spider remedies is indicated, we must also look for a past event or something where the patient might have faced a situation of this sort. There is extreme sensitiveness to music. The all the complaints react to music. So whenever the patient listens to music, he feels at peace, he feels calm, and he is better in general. There is cheerfulness or gaiety alternating with anger or irritability. Now the patient is cheerful at one moment and then becomes extremely angry and irritable at one moment. So this is again a symptom related to the contrariness. So there is opposition of the state of mind. At one point you will feel, oh, this person is very cheerful, very lively, very nice, but it won't even take a second for the person to flip and then suddenly become this extremely angry and extremely irritable person who is irritated with everything around him. Okay, there is a lot of hysterical manifestation present in these group of remedies. The patient will have causeless weeping, there will be feeling of sickness. So you can think of spider group of remedies where the person fakes an illness or feigns an illness. So say if the person belonging to spider group does not want to do something or does not want to go somewhere, he will pretend to be sick, he will pretend that he is in pain so that he escapes from the situation and he does not do what he is supposed to do. Now, this is also a very common manifestation in children. So, if you compare these mind symptoms, the symptoms of extreme irritability, extreme opposition, where the person is happy at one moment and irritable at one moment, causeless weeping, feeling of illness. So, considering the mental symptoms that we just discussed, where there is extreme change of moods, sudden change of moods, the person is sensitive to any external touch or noise, or there is causeless weeping or feeling of an illness, we can also think of spider group of remedies in cases of pediatric age group, especially in ADHD or in autism, where there are certain sudden emotional outbursts present in children. So, these remedies particularly work well in ADHD, autism, or other behavioral disorders of children. All the mental symptoms in this group are ameliorated by eating and walking. Okay. So now again, these are the general symptoms present in this group. Now, if we want to look at certain rubrics, particularly covering the remedies belonging to this group, we can again use the remedy extract feature. through which now this time we will be looking at the mental symptoms belonging to the remedies. So now using the remedy extract feature again, let us have a look at the common mental symptoms present across the remedies belonging to this group. So again, to access the remedy extract feature, I will click on the remedy module and then click on remedy extract. Here, as you can see, we had already selected 4 remedies belonging to spider group, which is Tarantula cubensis, Theridion, Latrodectus mectans and Arenia diadema. So let us keep these 4 remedies as our selection, but instead of the generalities chapter this time, let us select the mind chapter from complete repertory again. Okay, we click on done and we click on extract. So there are 20 rubrics that now reflect in our search results, where we have the first symptom where the mind symptoms are aggravated at night. We have all the 4 remedies listed as 1 marks. We have psychological themes with anxiety, extreme anxiety and fear, where we have Theridion and Latrodectus mectans as well as Arenia diadema listed higher than Tarantula cubensis. We also have a symptom where these remedies are indicated, which is responsibility decreased or avoiding. So if you remember, we had just discussed that the person will fake an illness in order to, avoid something that he is supposed to do. So we have the rubric as responsibility decreased or avoiding. Moving down, we can see a marked rubric which is perception, reasoning, cognition, confusion, weak concentration. Now, as I just told you that we can think of spider remedies in children where there is ADHD or autism. So again, if you see, reasoning or perception weak or confusion is again a common manifestation of these conditions. Moving down, there is a lot of anxiety as we just discussed. There are a lot of delusions or imaginations which are present. The person is impressionable or susceptible. So these persons, even though they don't easily agree with people or may have a lot of arguments or quarrel a lot, but at the same time, they are also very impressionable. So let us say in case of a child, the child may get very affected or very impressed by certain adult or someone around him and may start copying his gestures or may start talking like him because he really likes the way that person behaves or he rather wants to be like that person. So in such a case, you can also think of a remedy belonging to the spider group. We have marked indolence or aversion to work. We have aggravation from pain. So now here mind pain aggravates is aggravation of mental symptoms due to pain. Moving down, we have extreme prostration of mind. We have restlessness or nervousness that we just discussed. There is also sadness, which is again a representation of extreme change of moods. The person is excited at one point and then becomes very sad or starts weeping without any cause at one point. So now these were the common or characteristic mental traits or symptoms that are present across the remedies that we just studied. Now moving on, let us have a look at a very interesting case. So this case is of a 45-year-old male who came to us with a chief complaint of pain in the right heel, which was present since a year, and he said that the pain was continuous. There was no reduction or increase in the pain. The pain was there throughout the day, and there was no amelioration no matter whatever he does. There was also presence of severe right-sided headache since the past 5 to 6 years. He said that he feels that entire right side of his pain suddenly starts hurting. It is very severe, and there was no radiation of pain present. Along with the headache, there was extreme sensitiveness to noise and light that was present. About the headache as well as the heel pain, he told us that the pain came on every other day, and he only felt better when he took an allopathic medication or a painkiller. In general, both the heel and the head pain was aggravated by touch. So he specifically told us that whenever I have this pain, I cannot touch my head, or even when the feet is hurting, I cannot just touch it. It kind of suddenly increases my pain even more. But he was better by rubbing the part or massaging the part. Okay. So these were the chief complaints that the patient gave us. I hope you are noting down the characteristic symptoms as I describe this case so that it becomes easier for you all to form a totality. Now, moving on to the personal history of the patient. Appearance wise, the person was lean, thin, and well built. The appetite was good. There was no significant aggravation or amelioration from any food or drink. There was no significant craving, but the patient told us that he cannot stand meat at all. Like, even if some food consisted of meat, he can come to know through the smell, and that itself made him uneasy. So, that was how strong this aggravation of meat was in his case. Thirst was for room temperature water, and he drank less water, which was only 4 to 5 glasses of water per day. There were no complaints with the urine as well as the stools. The perspiration was moderate. There was no staining or any odor from the perspiration. He said that his sleep was good. He slept for 7 to 8 hours and it was refreshing. When it came to dreams, he told us that he does not really remember his dreams. Thermally, the patient wanted fan. He also liked winter. He bathes with cold water and covering was not required. But we noticed that in our clinic, when the patient was sitting, he was uneasy with the air conditioning and he constantly asked for the temperature to be reduced. The patient is more so ambithermal towards hot. Okay. There were no complaints from light, noise, jarring, see or heights, etc. So these were the characteristic physical symptoms as well as the physical general symptoms that the patient gave us. Now coming to the mind symptoms of this patient, the patient told us that he lives with his wife and 2 sons. He has a self-owned business and according to the need of the day, he either works from his office or works from home. So his work atmosphere was quite relaxed. He said, I like it that way and I get to choose either I have to work from home or office. He specifically told us that he does not like anything in excess. So even when it came to work, he only did whatever was required and he told us that he likes to relax. He does not like to be in a hurry when it comes to work or anything that he does in general. He, while describing his mental symptoms, he had a very peculiar way of describing his symptoms. So he told us, I'm very smart, okay? I know when someone is trying to cheat me or someone is trying to lie to me. I come to know that. But even after that, I make sure that I give this person a taste of their own medicine. So he was very quick to understand if someone is trying to fool him. But along with that, he said that I make sure that that person gets it back. So he was not very forgiving by nature. He made sure to give it back to him. When we questioned him more about this trait, he told us that if someone plots against me or does something bad to me, I can sense it. He told us an incident in his work where something similar had happened, and he made sure that the person paid for it. Okay, he specifically told these lines to us that I'm smart enough to get my work done anyhow without even people realizing. So he told us that I can even make you do whatever I want you to do, but you will not realize that you are working according to my convenience. So this was the level of, he called himself to be smart, but if you see, this trait becomes like a cunning trait in the patient. So he's very cunning. He comes to know that whatever is happening is wrong, but then he does not let go of it. He makes sure that he takes the revenge and the person pays for it. And again, a similar manifestation related to cunning is that he will make you work according to his will without even making you realize that you are doing everything that he wants you to do. Okay. Next, he told us that he does not like a lot of noise or sound. It makes him irritable, and it also aggravates his headache. Okay. So these are the characteristic mental symptoms that the patient gave us. So these are the characteristic mental symptoms present in this case. Let us have a look at the examination findings. The general examination stated that the temperature was afebrile, the pulse was 73 beats per minute, the respiratory rate was 12 breaths per minute, blood pressure was 120 by 86 mm of Hg. There was no pallor, cyanosis, icterus or lymphadenopathy that was present. When we did the systemic examination, we did not find anything abnormal in all the systems. Coming to the local examination, since he told us that there was pain in the right heel or the right foot, we examined the foot, but there was no local swelling or effusion or redness present, which is why we asked the patient to get an X-ray done. So the X-ray findings of his right foot suggested that there was a presence of calcaneal spur. So now this explains the continuous heel pain which was present in the patient, and the spur was quite big which caused continuous pain, which is why there was no relief to the patient. So the diagnosis of this case would be calcaneal spur as well as migraine. If you remember, he told us that he has severe right-sided headaches which was aggravated by noise or aggravated by touch. So these symptoms are characteristics of migraine. Now coming to the Hahnemannian classification of this disease can be classified as dynamic chronic miasmatic disease with fully developed symptoms. It is a chronic condition because both the complaints in the patient, the calcaneal spur as well as the migraine, have been present since a very long time. Okay, so now we had a look at the physical complaints, both particulars and generals, and we also had a look at the mind symptoms. I hope you have made a totality after the characteristic symptoms as I was describing the case. So now let us move on to the totality of symptoms. The first symptom that we've considered in our totality is cunning. If you remember, while I was describing the mental symptoms, this was a very strong trait in the patient and he kept talking a lot about it. As a matter of fact, he was very proud of himself because of this quality. So this makes it a characteristic mental emotional symptom. The next symptom we have considered is sensitiveness to noise. So these are the two mind symptoms that we've included in the totality. Moving on to the physical generals, we have aversion to meat, which was again very strong. We have aggravation to touch and better by rubbing the affected part or massaging the affected part. So you can see we've considered two symptoms from the mental sphere, which is cunning and sensitive to noise. We have one physical general symptom, which is aversion to meat, and we have aggravation touch and better by massaging. With these two other modalities that we've included in our totality. Let us now have a look at conversion of these symptoms into rubrics. Now, cunning is found under the complete repertory in the mind section as destructiveness cunning. Sensitive to noise is listed in the mind chapter of complete repertory as sensitive, oversensitive, noise, sound 2. Aversion to meat is listed under the generalities chapter of complete repertory under the heading of food and drinks as meat aversion. Touch aggravation or aggravated by touch is found again under the generalities chapter of complete repertory, and it is found as touch aggravates. Lastly, rubbing or massaging ameliorates is found under the generalities chapter of complete repertory, and it is listed as rubbing, massage, friction, ameliorates. Now, if you see rubbing, massage and friction, both indicate the same word or the same modality. Now that we have our symptoms and they have been converted into rubrics, let us begin recording these rubrics using hompathsoftware and find out the indicated remedy for this case. So to search our first rubric, which is cunning, let us press Command S and type in cunning in the search repertory option. After we type the word, I will click on search, and the second rubric is the one that I wish to record. Now this interestingly has only one remedy indicated. Let us see, it has tarantula. To record this rubric, I will click in the box and the rubric is now recorded. Now to search the next rubric, which is sensitive to noise, I will press Command S and type noise sensitive and click on search. So here we have the first rubric, which is from the mind chapter of complete repertory that we wish to record. At this point, if you wish to look at the recorded rubrics, you can click on the view repertorization option, which is present as the first shortcut on the toolbar on your left hand side. So you can see we have recorded two symptoms, which is cunning and sensitiveness to noise. Now to record the next rubric, which is aversion to meat, I will again press Command S and type aversion meat and click on search. So here the first symptom is the one that I wish to record. I will click on it and this symptom too is now recorded. Now we have two modalities that are remaining to be recorded. Before we do that, let us again go back to the view repertorization option and see if after adding the generalities, if the remedy has changed. Because when we had entered the mind symptoms, tarantula was the first remedy that was indicated. So I will click on view repertorization, and here again tarantula is still one of the first remedies that covers the symptoms that we've recorded. Now let us see if this changes when I record the modalities. Now the first modality I want to record is aggravation by touch. Now there's another way of recording the symptoms. Instead of typing command S, I can directly type these keywords into the quick repertorization option, which is present just above my repertory sheet. But the difference is here, the symptom will directly get recorded. So the software will search the closest rubric with the maximum number of remedies to the keywords that I will enter and will automatically record it. So here I want to write touch aggravates. Instead of writing full aggravates, I can just write the first three alphabets, which is AGG, and click on this arrow, which means record the symptom. After I click on it, you can see that the symptom from the generalities chapter, which is touch aggravates, gets recorded. The next symptom I will again record similarly, which is rubbing ameliorates. I will again type it and click on search. Here again you can see that the closest rubric to our keyword has been automatically recorded. Now if you can see, tarantula is still the first remedy that is covering all the mind symptoms as well as the physical general manifestations along with the modalities. But if you see, even pulsatilla is quite close. Except for cunning, pulsatilla is covering the oversensitiveness to noise, aversion to meat, aggravation by touch, and friction ameliorates. In fact, pulsatilla has higher marking as compared to tarantula in few of the rubrics. So let us now have a look at the comparison of these two remedies. Since these two remedies are quite similar to each other, let us have a look of how these remedies can be differentiated. Now we can compare the remedies using the compare feature from Hompath Zomeo. To use this feature, we will click on the remedy and first we will click on add to compare, which appears in the drop down which opens. After I have added tarantula to compare, I will do the same thing and add pulsatilla to compare. Now, which means that we've added tarantula and pulsatilla. All I have to do is now compare these remedies. To compare, I will again click on either of these remedies and this time you will click on compare. So you can see our selected remedies are present, and here the screen which opens by default consists of the properties of these remedies. Now here I want to compare the characteristic keynote symptoms of these two remedies so that I can decide what is the indicated remedy for my case. To do that, I will click on properties and then click on keynotes. So you can see here we have the keynote symptoms listed one by one and we can compare the symptoms. We can scroll down and we find the modalities as well as the mind symptoms present. So let us go back up and read the characteristic manifestation. So now you can see tarantula has more of symptoms related to nervousness, irritability, symptoms of the nervous system, where on the other hand pulsatilla is a very mild remedy where the patient is soft, shy, weeping, is better by consolation. There are very mildness in the symptoms. The person craves open air and is better in breezes. While if you remember, we had discussed spider remedies do not like to be out in the open. They have aversion to extreme light or noise. So this is one very characteristic differentiation between these two remedies. Now moving on, we want to see if there is a difference in the mental sphere, because that is where the remedies are coming close. Now moving on, let us go down to the mental symptoms of these remedies and let us see if cunning or anything related to this trait is present in pulsatilla. Now in tarantula, you can see that there is moral depravity, the patient lacks control, there is suddenly changing moods, fancies, or strength. The patient is crafty, cunning, dishonest, and selfish. Now, if you remember, this was a very peculiar trait in our patient. While on the other hand, the pulsatilla is mild, emotional, weeps easily, whining, the person craves sympathy, there is a lot of timidity, the person is discouraged and easily offended. Now, if you go to our case and see, our patient was not at all afraid. The patient said, I like to take revenge. I like plotting against the person who's betraying me. And there was this cunning trait which was very peculiar. So, even though pulsatilla comes close to our other symptoms of sensitivity, aggravation by touch, aversion to meat, it does not have the most important trait that we have in our patient, which is cunningness, which is only covered by tarantula, which is why we will prescribe tarantula as a remedy in this case. Tarantula was given in the 200th potency and the repetition was 4 powders, which is once a week, 1 powder a week, and the patient was also given SL200 TDS for a month. Let us have a look at the follow-up of this case. So the patient was given 4 more doses of tarantula over the next 3 months. The patient told us that there was marginal decline in the heel pain as well as in the episodes of migraine. However, after some time, the patient experienced a sudden return of symptoms. He came to us after 3 or 4 months and told us that even though he has been better, but now again he feels that the symptoms are coming back. We reassessed the case and we took down the characteristic symptoms and we noticed that his manifestations were still the same, but the symptoms had returned and were troubling the patient again. So, because of this recurrence of symptoms, before we changed the remedy, we decided to raise the potency from 200 to 1 m. The patient then received 3 more doses of tarantula 1 m over the next 2 months. Okay, so after total 6 months, the patient was completely better. He had no episodes of heel pain or migraine and all the symptoms had subsided. So we see that sometimes when the patient comes to us, when he has been better for a very long time, but he tells us that, doctor, I have this symptom coming back again. Instead of, getting nervous or anxious and changing the remedy, first try changing the potency. So we went from 200 to 1 m and then we saw that the patient was still getting better with the same remedy itself. Coming to the learning from today's session, we learned about the characteristics of spider group of remedies, their physical manifestations as well as their mental manifestations. We learned about the repertorial representation of a group of remedies that we had selected, and we read about their characteristic generalities as well as mental symptoms. Coming to the case, we learned how we should not rush into changing the remedy. Instead, we should first consider increasing the potency in the case when we feel that the symptoms are coming back again. So that is all for today's session. I hope you enjoyed learning about the spider group as well as the case that we discussed. I will be back again next week with another interesting session. Till then, take care.